Talking with the experts.
Welcome Janalee Ferreira in episode 286, where we discuss using human design in business.
A generator, we go off of yes and no questions. So to ask a generator, what do you want for dinner, is the worst question, because they're designed to respond to something versus create something out of thin air. So, I use Pinterest a lot as a generator. So I'll be like, my partner will be like, well, what do you want for dinner? So I'll go on Pinterest, I'll look up dinner ideas, and I'll scroll because I'm like, no. And then I see something, I'm like, yes. So leaning into that as a manifester, really allowing lots of rest, because the other types are not really energy types and they're designed to rest more. And I think, again, that's so different in business. We're taught to go, but there's really something to lean into in quality over quantity of hours. So manifestors are supposed to rest between the urges to do something.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Do you know anything about human design, especially human design in business? And my next guest, Janalee Ferreira, is going to discuss all of that with us later on in this interview. She is a 2-4 emotional manifesting generator, right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix, who fell in love with human design 3 years ago. By day, she helps welcome babies to the earth as a doula. Oh, what a lovely job. And by night, she reads people's human design charts to help them operate in a way that feels good. Janalee has used human design to grow her own business and has had so much success and fun and joy that she's on a mission to share it with other business owners. Welcome, Janalee, and I've got to congratulate you on being a doula. That would be such a rewarding job.
It is an incredible job. It is really, really, really amazing. And I am so grateful. And I am so grateful to be here today, Rose. Thank you.
Oh, you're very, thank you for coming on. Tell me a little bit about what human design is. Now, I know it's been floating around for a little while, but it's come more to the fore and more prominent in the last couple of years, into my knowledge anyway. So yeah, if you could just explain exactly what it is and how it helps people.
Yeah. So human design is supposed to be, in my experience, an experiment. So just like there's systems of ways to do things, let's say, for example, the Myers-Briggs, right? It gives you put in some information and it lets you know kind of the way that you are. And then leaning into that usually feels really good and not trying to be something that we're not. Same kind of thing with human design. It's astrology. I describe it as astrology on psychedelics because we use your birth city and your birth date and your birth time to create a chart. And from that information, you are given something called a type, you're given a strategy, you're given an authority, and it combines like the I Ching, the chakra system, quantum physics, astrology, to create what kind of looks like the chakras all lined up, and you get the chart with centers and gates, and playing with that energy and using the way that the planets were on the day that you were born, as imprints, can affect things like the way that we can communicate and our values. And it shows us where our gifts are and where our challenges are. And leaning into that is the experiment and seeing how it feels to be more of who we are.
Yeah, I did one in April of this year and I got a 6-2 generator. So I'm not quite sure what that really means, but because I can't get anyone to explain it to me. So I don't know if you could help me with that. What does that mean?
Yeah. So when we look at the body graph, there are different centers, and whether they are white, which means undefined, or they are colored in, which means they're defined, each configuration relates to a different type. Now, in astrology, there's 12 different signs. And in human design, we have 5. So that makes it a little bit easier. So the generator means that you're going to have a defined sacral, which means human design would say about you that you're probably full of energy and you're designed to do things that really light you up. And there's almost like an endless energy to do those things. So your job in this world, we say, is to respond to things. So a different type called the manifester are designed to initiate. So they're going to get an urge and they're going to go out and do it, or they're going to say it. And then the rest of us generators, I'm a type of generator as well, we're designed to actually make those things happen. So this is a friend who's like, hey, do you want to go on a road trip? And then maybe Rose, you're like, yes, I'll plan everything. I'll plan the meals, I'll plan the route, I'll get the car. And you just go and you just do all of that stuff.
Sounds pretty much like me. Yep.
Generators make up 70% of the population. We are the doers. So we are the energy behind, everything getting done. And the other types are really like the managers and the initiators. And then the last type is called the reflector. The other thing about being a 6-2 means that you probably experience yourself as somebody. The 6 is an experimenter line. So somebody who really tries things, like learns things by trying and a lot of failing. So you do something, you fail, you do something, you fail, you do something, you fail. And then the 6th line, eventually around age 40 and over, they go to the roof. So they're kind of like, they're done. They've learned so much by doing and trying, and they're ready to take a step back and assimilate the things that they've learned and kind of sit above and watch, and then actually become mentors for other people. Yeah. And people may experience you, the 2nd line, as a bit of a, someone that they have to call out. So a bit of a hermit. So they want to learn more from you. They want to hang out with you. They want you to be their mentor. And you're maybe like, I am either busy experimenting or I'm busy processing. People are probably like, Rose, let's talk about this. Rose, let's do this. Because they want more of your energy.
Well, that explains everything. Thank you. That sounds very much like me. So, yeah, I guess you just hit the nail on the head. But as far as business is concerned, how can the human design help people in business?
Yeah. So I think knowing somebody's type is really helpful. So, for example, being a generator, one thing that we would say is sometimes you have to be careful about what you say yes to, because you have the energy to see it through. And sometimes we say yes to the things that we think that we should do. So we think that we should launch a certain product, a certain service, and our depending what your authority is, but maybe your sacral is saying like, no, I don't want to do this. But our head or our pressure is saying like, everyone else is doing this or nobody's doing this, so I should doing this. So sometimes we do things that actually aren't aligned with what our whole system is telling us. And that can be a bit of a danger for business because A, it won't be successful, and B, that's when we see some burnout. Other examples of different types. So for example, a projector is a type in human design, and they're supposed to wait for an invitation. And that can be hard to hear for some people because they think that means they're just, how do I start a business if I have to just wait around, for people to invite me to do things or invite me to, and that's not really what it's about. It's about doing things that feel really good. Build it and they will come versus build it so they will come. So really making sure that the things that we're doing feel right and allowing other people to come to us versus the belief that if we want to sell things, we have to find people to sell them to.
Yeah, it's difficult if you don't understand what all of that means. And someone like yourself, they would actually need someone to interpret their chart, I would imagine, because it, and thank you for doing mine, because yeah, I had no clue what that meant. They were just words to me.
Yeah. And Google can be amazing. Like just, so when you pull up a free chart, there's lots of different places to get free charts on the internet. So you pull up your free chart and it will tell you, just like Rose told me, it'll say that you're a generator. It will say, and then you can Google human design projector, human design manifestor, and see what comes up. And so we say in human design, it's a 7-year experiment. So even if you Google and spend 6 months just like reading about your type and leaning into the strategy a little bit more, that can makes really massive changes for people, especially in business, I think, because we're encouraged to do everything and be everything. And I think the more that the less that we do can sometimes be better if the things that we do are aligned with the system.
Yeah, I think understanding what type you are is very important. How you explained what mine meant sounded so much like me but I had no understanding about, how it could help me with my business. And so, yeah, now I will take that a bit further, because you're right. I do things all the time thinking that they will come, but not that they, yeah. So I just keep falling down in a heap all the time and not understanding why. So no, that was really helpful. Thank you so much for that. So again, as business owners, and and then you understand what your type is as far as the human design is concerned, how can they turn their business around, turn their life around, so that they're aligned with, how they're meant to be?
Yeah. So it usually starting with really small decisions can be helpful, and also sharing the experiment with one person who's close to you, who you see often, can be really nice as well. So, for example, a generator, it's we go off of yes and no questions. So to ask a generator, what do you want for dinner, is the worst question, because they're designed to respond to something versus create something out of thin air. So, I use Pinterest a lot as a generator. So I'll be like, my partner will like, well, what do you want for dinner? So I'll go on Pinterest, I'll look up dinner ideas, and I'll scroll because I'm like, no, 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 no. And then I see something, I'm like, yes. So leaning into that as a manifester, really allowing lots of rest, because the other types are not really energy types and they're designed to rest more. And I think, again, that's so different in business. We're taught to like go, 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 but there's really something to lean into in quality over quantity of hours. So manifestors are supposed to rest between the urges to do something. And if you tell a business owner, don't do it unless you want to do it, they may roll their eyes and be like, well, there's lots of things that I don't want to do in business. And it's kind of like, well, like, let's explore that. What actually needs to be done versus what do we believe that the pressure is to be done? Are you really going to lose your social media following if you only post when you have the desire to post something really impactful? Are the filler posts actually who you are and what you want to be? So leaning into rest for a lot of human design types is helpful. And so being a projector, we're waiting for an invitation. If someone follows you on social media, that is an invitation, right? So they've asked to follow you, you have said yes, and therefore you're free to do those things. But projectors are also meant to rest a lot. They're Lamborghinis of the world. So we always say, drive slow and really make sure that you're in the garage getting tuned up every day. And again, it's just different advice. It's different advice that we see. Yeah. I think playing with the strategy is really helpful. And not and allowing your clients to respond, because the other thing is we have to remember that we have a design, but so do other people. So if I know that 70% of the world are generators, I want to give people things to say yes and to say no to. Right. So using it also that there's 10% of people who are going to have the urge to do it. So how do I leave a link out there where when they have the urge, they can go through to do it? And everybody else, they have to be able to say yes or no. And there's projectors who need an invitation. So am I sending out emails with invitations? Am I sending out social media things with invitations? And using people's types with them in business, I think, can also be helpful when we think of them on a consumer end.
That's a very good point, because, we're one type as a business owner, and we have to, as you say, be mindful of the types of people that are, not in our circle, and, and to attract those particular clients. So, you need to be mindful that you're doing, what might not be aligned to you as your particular type, but you have to, I guess, change what you do to align to other types, so that they get the message that you're trying to portray.
Yeah. And another thing is, when you pull up your chart on human design, there's going to be the centers. And that's the other thing that I think can be really nice is human design as the experiment. There's also a deconditioning piece. So I've been conditioned to think that I have to go out and make it happen if I want to be successful, but that actually doesn't really work for me. I'm meant to just bounce into people and things and ideas and respond to them. And that's when I make a lot of magic. Looking at the centers can be really nice for business as well, because sometimes there's this shame around certain things that we think that we should be. And a good one is the identity center. So it's right in the middle, it's a diamond shape, and that's identity and direction. And for people who have that defined, that means that you are going to be who you're going to be with one purpose and one direction. And sometimes there's the concern that I have to continue to change as the times change, or, wanting, thinking that that because they've been trying to do the same thing, maybe in different ways for 20 years, that they're not keeping up. But your power is in being more of you. And the same on the opposite. If it's undefined, you're allowed to change. You're supposed to change who you are all the time. So if you watch a Netflix series, if you watch Bridgerton, and this week, you're feeling like you're talking with an accent, and then next week you watch The Queen's Gambit and you're like a whole new person, like lean into that, use that in business. Like you are designed to amplify the identities of other people and have lots of different directions. And being given that permission slip in business can be so helpful.
Absolutely. It's really opened my eyes up to how I am and how I don't align with a lot of the things that I do, but it's because someone's told me that I should be doing that, and I'm not being my authentic self, because it just doesn't feel like that I can't give it the whole amount of energy that I want to give it, because I'm not fully invested in it.
Yeah. It's really, a permission slip is the best way that it makes me feel, that I don't have to. So as a manifesting generator, I often don't finish things that I start. And I used to be embarrassed about that, but I'm designed to have multi passions. I'm designed to do a bunch of different things at one time. I'm not supposed to slow down. So every time I go to a family gathering, they're like, what is Janalee doing now? And I'm like, oh, this. And they're like, you're not going to be good. But it's like, you don't know that, let me just be this, because this is working. And even though it may not be the way that you think I should be doing it, this is what lights me up. And when we're lit up, we're successful. I think that's how that goes.
Yeah. I've got the thing, what was my thing? I'm a generator. I've got split definition. I'm emotional solar plexus, strategies to respond. Not self-theme is frustration, and incarnation cross is left angle cross of confrontation, 2645, 636.
Yeah. So I know that there's an audio component. Do you want to share do you want me to share my screen? Is that okay?
Yeah,
you can share yours. Okay.
Yeah.
I can share mine so people can see what the chart looks like, and that could be fun. Actually, I don't know that I have. Do I have permission
I've
to
just
do it?
given
Oh,
you
there we go.
permission.
Amazing. So this is what the body graph looks like. And Rose, I'm probably going to have you pull up yours just so that you can see how different it is as well. So this is kind of like the chakra system that I was talking about, how it looks like there's just centers that are on top of each other. And you'll get different information. So I'm not sure where Rose pulled her from, but we'll take a look.
I'm having a look for mine. There we go.
Yeah. And mine are, you can see the colors don't mean anything. So whether it's brown, yellow, pink, that just means it's defined or not defined. Yeah. So actually I'll have you do yours. There we go. Ooh, fun. Amazing. Wow, what a beautiful chart.
Oh, okay.
Great. Yeah. So what you'll see, just for folks, and I'll try to describe this as much as I can for people who are listening as well. When you pull up a body chart, there's going to be numbers on the right-hand side, and there's going to be numbers on the left-hand side. In human design, we say that on the day that we were born, just like astrology, we were imprinted from the neutrinos from the planets on us when we entered Earth. So those are going to be the numbers on the right-hand side and the color black. And all of those numbers are graphed somewhere on the body graph. So 26 will have a little black line attached to it. 45 will have a little black line. 46, 25, 34, you're going to see all of those graphed. Now there's numbers on the left-hand side of the graph as well, and those are red. And we say that 3 months before we were born, we were also imprinted by the planets, and that's our unconscious energy. So the black is how we consciously experience ourselves, and the red is how we unconsciously experience ourselves. And those will also be graphed. And you'll see that by the little red lines. And if the lines are black and red, that means it's somewhere on your conscious and unconscious side. So when two of the gates are connected, so Rose, I believe your 18 and 58 are connected down there at the bottom. And that's why the centers are defined, because when they're connected by two gates and they create a channel, then we see some definition there. Okay. So, yeah. So, when it comes to your not self theme and your self theme, a generator, one tip, one way to know whether we are aligned is that feeling of satisfaction. So we say, Rose, that you're probably doing something that's aligned with your generator self when you're feeling deeply satisfied. And we say that when you're doing things that maybe aren't super aligned, you're going to feel frustration. And people usually really recognize those feelings when they see that on the screen. They're like, oh yeah, I get frustrated all the time. Or they can think of a certain situation where they've been really frustrated. And those are two signposts to let you know, whether or not you're doing things. So manifesting is feeling peaceful and being angry. And a projector is being, they're going to feel success, or they're going to feel bitter, right? And as a generator, you may feel angry and bitter sometimes, but frustration is usually, people can relate to that feeling a lot. So with your chart here, Rose, what you could do is look up the names of the different centers, but focusing on where they're white is really going to be where you're amplifying the energy of others. And that's where we can be wise about our energies and our own energy. So the yellow diamond you have defined. So we would say that you have a defined self, you have a defined purpose, and like Rose is who Rose is, who Rose is. And that's amazing. And above that, we have the throat, which is the center for communication and manifestation. So you don't have that defined, which means that you don't, in your body graph, have a consistent experience of that energy. So I'm not surprised that you have a vodcast, because you're designed to amplify the energy and the throats of others. And what a beautiful gift. So some people will see that and be like, oh, I don't have a voice of my own, or I can't manifest by myself. It's like, well, no, you can, but what a gift to be able to amplify the voices of others and include others in that experience of manifestation and bringing things to life. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, cool. So show me yours then, and then we'll compare to see what yours is like.
Okay.
And you can explain. Hang on, I'll just stop sharing mine. Okay, off you go.
So, so we actually have pretty similar charts. So you're going to see that my throat is defined. My throat is connected to my sacral center, and my throat is connected to my my G center. So that's going to be the difference between a manifesting generator and a generator, is that I have the throat defined and someone like Rose doesn't. Now, so one big difference that you'll see is that I have my heart here. My poor little heart has no gates off of it. And I'm literally heartless. So I have a totally open heart. And that's the center for willpower. And that's a center for self-value and confidence. So this was a really big thing for me in business, because I was told, or I read and I realized that I am probably going to be looking all the time to prove my self-worth. I'm always going to want to prove that I'm good enough. I'm going to want to prove that people should buy from me. I'm going to want to prove that I've done enough. And I may never feel like I do because of that open heart. So that's a really beautiful opportunity for me to, as a business person, when I hear that little voice in my head being like, oh, you know, you have to do more, offer more, I can be like, oh, thank you, little heart, for making sure that I feel like I'm good enough. But like, I know that I'm good enough, and I've like sat with this, and I appreciate you chatting with me just to do like a heart check, but like, I'm good. So I don't let that run my business anymore.
Okay, so then we'll, if you want to minimize yours, that way it'll be the same size as mine.
Yeah.
And then we can put them side by side. That might work then.
Oh, like this? Oh, does that help?
Yeah, and just move it over. Oh, can I move it over?
I can move mine over.
Yeah, move it right over to as far as you can without it making it too big. And then I'll put mine up, and then we'll just compare. I'll just make mine a little bit smaller. How's that? And
Did I just put mine the wrong way?
There we go. No, it's all good. I'll just share my screen, and
okay.
Oh, hang on, don't do that. Share screen. Share that one. Hopefully that's worked. Is yours still there?
Let's see if I can. I don't know that I can see yours and see mine at the same time.
Right, so I can see yours, but no one else can. All right. Yeah, see, because my heart thing is quite red, and it's connected to this one over here and half connected to that one.
Exactly. Yes. So sometimes the gates are reaching. So the 26, so there's a channel there, which means that the spleen, which is connected to that heart, those energies they're both there, and they work really beautiful together, because each half of the gate completes the energy, which is really beautiful. So that's great. But what you're going to look for is, for example, in your throat, the 45 is really looking for that 21. And if that 21 would have been there, then the throat would have been defined. And same thing with the 17. So up in your ajna, so the triangle pointing downwards is looking for that 62. There's no 62. And in the head, we're looking for that 63 to make the connection. So we're sometimes, the gates are looking for things. And that's why working with other people can be so great. So you have the open ajna there and the open head, which means that you are going to amplify the ideas of others. So somebody may be like, oh, again, I wonder what I should do for dinner. And then immediately you're going to respond, because you're a generator, and you're going to amplify the questions of other people. So you're going to start looking for that information for them.
Oh, okay.
Which is really,
which is awesome. Yeah.
But it's just important to know that there are some ideas that aren't, like, some questions aren't yours. So just making sure that you're spending time with your energy, using it for you versus trying to answer the questions of everybody else. And also wanting to prove and also wanting to prove that you're sure. There's a lot of energy of like, how do I be sure? Because we can amplify so many possibilities and we're not designed to be. So, allowing a question to come in and resisting Googling it is a very powerful practice for people who have open heads and open ajnas.
Okay, so then I'm a pretty wise person.
You are extremely wise. And you're allowed to change, your beliefs. So that's a good example for business as well, is with the open head and the open ajna, you're allowed to believe something today and then in a week, like change your beliefs. And I think that's also.
That sounds like me, totally. People say, well, you didn't say that last week. And I said, well, that's because it was true last week and it's not true this week.
Good for you. And for some people, there's shame in that and they want to hide that, or what they want to, like, I don't know, like make themselves be sure or not share their opinion because they're afraid it's going to change. So I'm glad to hear that you share it anyway and that you own the fact that it changes.
Everyone, this wasn't supposed to be an analysis of my chart. Really, it's just turned out like that. So I really do thank everyone's indulgence for that. Janalee, it's been really interesting to learn how business owners can use the human design to, become more successful in their businesses. Because, I hadn't thought about, the things that you've shared with me today about my own chart. Even though I sort of saw myself like that, I didn't understand the reasoning behind it. So, and I didn't think I had a purpose, but you just shared with me that I actually do know what my purpose is, and I've been just blindly going along and not seeing it. So yeah, you've done me a good service today. Thank you.
Of course. And I hope that people also can learn how to interpret their own chart by looking at your chart. So I hope that's really helpful for them, is to, if you have an open head, Google open head and see, undefined head human design. If you Google open head, I don't know what will come up. So maybe you don't do that. But looking up that, and there's so much in human design. There's truly so much that you can talk about. Just to indulge one more time, if you don't mind, Rose, will you tell me on your chart, there's a number at the very top on the right-hand side of the black number. There's going to be a number there. I think it was 26. Am I right about that?
Bring it up. The black number is 26.6.
Yeah. So that's kind of the last thing that I think can be really just talking about with people, is each of on the sides are different planets. And the first one there is your conscious sun. And we see that makes up about 70% of your personality. So looking up the numbers can be really helpful as well, because they all have names that go along with them. So my dear friend Rose, so you are a 26, and at kind of like at its best, we're really seeing somebody who is very playful. There's a lot of like fun energy there. There's a lot of like selflessness. So just looking up, I think that gate as well can be really nice, because you can lean into more of who you are. Like if if people tell you to be serious, you're literally not designed to, you're designed to play with and have a lot of heart in that. So if in business you find that you've lost that playfulness, or that, your playful heart isn't into it, then maybe that's part of the reason why it doesn't feel good. So each of the numbers correspond with a different energy as well. The rabbit hole is so big in human design, but if you're looking at one piece every 6 months, that can be really impactful for some folks.
Well, I'm going to have to now keep stalking you and work with you now to find out what my thing is supposed to be.
Yes. But
Janalee,
embrace the Google. Yeah, tell me. Sorry. Hi, Rose.
Janalee, where can people find you if they want to learn more about human design, because it was so fascinating?
Yeah, so they can find me. I have my business name is More HD, please, because it's what people usually ask for after they learn about it. So I have a website, morehdplease.square.site. That's to book something with me. However, Rose, I will give you a special booking link for folks to be able to use a code to be able to get a 25% off a reading with me. You can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, More HD, please. For that kind of content. And again, there's so many great books out there. There's so many great free resources. So I really encourage people to lean into that as well. Human design is supposed to be for everybody. And I don't want to, if people can't get a reading or for whatever reason, just know that there's tons of good information out there. You can also DM me and I'm happy to share all those resources with someone as well, based on their chart, if they want to share that with me.
Ah, wonderful. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that. Have you written a book about your experience with human design at all?
I have not. That's a very interesting question, though.
Okay, well, it's food for thought, I suppose, for further down the track.
Further down the track. I've been trying to write a book and it hasn't been flowing. So I wonder if this is part of that. That's a really interesting question, Rose.
Oh, okay. No worries. I'm full of interesting questions.
Love that.
Generally, any last words of encouragement, wisdom, quotes, anything that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah. I just want to tell people truly, I didn't really understand this until human design, but you hear everywhere what makes you weird and what makes you different and the things about you that you feel like nobody else has or is or understands is truly what makes you so special. And human design is just one way to really be able to see it clearly, literally, like on the screen in front of you, the things that make you special and that make you powerful, and to lean into that. Be more of who you are, because the world needs more of you when you are being you. So please, 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 big permission slip, take it and run. And I want everyone just to feel good.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. I hope you will come on again later on in the year and share with us some more details about human design, because it's, as I said, it's so fascinating, and I think it's worth us as individuals and as business owners to learn what types we are and how we could best use those types to better our businesses, better our personal life. I think it can only help us in the long run, especially in today's environment where everyone's so unsure about what's going on. And if you probably could understand what type you are, then you might be able to move forward a bit better with your life and your business.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to chat more, and we'll get you rocking on your 7-year experiment. So maybe we'll touch back after a few months and see how things have changed for you in business. I'd be interested to know.
Absolutely. Janalee, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Rose.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.